This is Terry Ward from the Taylor Watford Foundation. Did you know that fentanyl poison is the #1 killer in the U.S. for ages 13 to 50? Illegal drug use also has a drastic and horrendous effect on families in every segment of our society. Our young people, including the students in our schools, are not immune from this horrible epidemic that is apparent in our country. To help, a representative from the Taylor Watford Foundation would like to come visit your organization or school and present educational information about the dangers of drug use and how to fight it. Log on to TaylorWatfordFoundation.org to find out more. Taylor Watford Foundation, giving hope to life.
Tonight's Creekside Restaurant halftime show continues on the Palmetto State Sports Network.
Welcome to tonight's halftime show on the Palmetto State Sports Network. As our guest tonight is Jade Watford with the Taylor Watford Foundation. The Taylor Watford Foundation was started in 2019 in memory of Taylor Watford, who passed away in 2018 due to fentanyl poisoning. Jade is a proud product of Lexington District 2 schools, where she graduated from BC High. First of all, Jade, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Jade, can you share Taylor's story and your family's story about an issue that tragically affects thousands of families every year with fentanyl poisoning, and how the Taylor Watford Foundation came to be?
It's a sad story, but this feels like the perfect place to share it because my brother was a BC class of 2008 graduate. He was on the football team, he was homecoming king, and we never would have guessed that, when we were at his football games watching it, that his life would turn out the way that it did. He was given drugs in high school to experiment with, and it turned into a lengthy battle with addiction. After 8 or so years in addiction, he was clean, and he was in recovery for a couple of years and doing well. And just one more time, 2 days after Christmas in 2018, he purchased heroin, and that heroin was laced with enough fentanyl to kill 6 elephants. And at that time, fentanyl had become more potent and more popular in drugs than he was used to while he was clean. And so my family and some friends that were also Lexington 2 graduates started the foundation in hopes that his story could change the lives of others.
Well, it's a beautiful foundation. Jade, what's the mission of the Taylor Watford Foundation?
Our main mission is just to prevent drug addictions and drug death. We spread awareness of the dangers of drugs through things like this, education events, and we raise money for individuals battling addiction to receive treatment that they otherwise might not have access to.
If you're just joining us tonight, our halftime guest is Jade Watford with the Taylor Watford Foundation. Jade, fentanyl poisoning is the #1 killer of Americans aged 13 to 50. And chances are, if you're listening tonight, you've got a family member, you know someone that has been touched by this absolute tragedy. Jade, what is fentanyl poisoning, and how did it become such a public health concern?
So fentanyl poisoning is just the word for when someone is exposed to fentanyl and they didn't know it, which is the case for most people because fentanyl is an extremely deadly substance. It's believed to be laced in about half of the street drugs that people buy, and about 70% of illegal street pills like Xanax, Adderall, or Percocet that people aren't getting from a pharmacy or a store. It dangerously boomed as a result of the opioid epidemic because it's such a cheaper way to increase the intensity of drugs. But it started in heroin, but it's not only in heroin anymore. It's been disguised in pretty much any drug you can think of. And the crisis is just so important to talk about tonight because young adults and teenagers are the most vulnerable. Society, movies, even past experiences that a lot of people listening might have had, that society encourages experimentation with drugs or that it's just part of growing up. But we can't allow that anymore because the current drug landscape allows very little room for error.
You're exactly right. Jade, what are some common misconceptions people have about fentanyl and its dangers?
The biggest misconception is that only a certain type of person is at risk. Like I said earlier, my brother was a Brooklyn KC football player, homecoming king, all-American boy. We never would have thought this, and that's the story for a lot of the other people that we've met, that this has happened to their family. Nobody thinks it'll happen to them until it does. And it doesn't only happen to people who are battling addiction, who are, actively making the choice repeatedly to use drugs. We've met a lot of people whose loved ones died and they were just trying drugs for the first or second time. But because these drugs are disguised in almost everything, there was no way for them to know.
That's incredibly frightening. I'm glad you're here to shine some light on that tonight. If you're just joining us again, our halftime guest is Jade Watford with the Taylor Watford Foundation. Jade, what are some things that the Taylor Watford Foundation does to bring awareness to the fentanyl crisis in our community and help those affected by it?
Our main initiative is drug education events and online content. We create educational videos and presentations. They've been shared with the schools and families statewide. We're actually doing Lexington 2 Red Ribbon Week, which is in a couple weeks. We also host several fundraisers a year to help get individuals into substance use treatment or sober living facilities like Oxford Houses to just help kickstart their journey, because funds are the main thing between a lot of people in recovery.
And I tell you, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, but Jade does a wonderful presentation as well. She's done one at BC High School, Busby, a couple of weeks ago, and I've heard just some great things from people that were in attendance. But Jade, one of the wonderful services of many that the Taylor Watford Foundation provides is financial assistance to those seeking help to overcome addiction. Could you share some success stories with us?
I love this question. We don't usually get to talk about the success stories. I want to first use this as an opportunity to give a shout out to anyone listening who's in recovery or you've supported someone who's gone through recovery. I hope you're so proud of yourself, because it is such a hard but rewarding thing to do. One story that comes to mind is someone that we helped this last year, actually another BC graduate. They were on the verge of losing everything.
Wow.
And they were humble enough to come to us, ask for help, follow the program, and with months of rehab, they were right back on track, and they're thriving now. They're almost right where they want to be, and that's the kind of redemption that we're just so blessed to see.
That is a tremendous story. Gives a lot of encouragement to a lot of people. Our halftime guest tonight, Jade Watford with the Taylor Watford Foundation. They're doing some amazing things in our community. Jade, what can listeners do to get involved with your foundation's efforts or to support individuals affected by fentanyl poisoning?
On May 17th, 2025, we'll actually be having a 5K run fundraiser at Brooklyn Casey High School. But the best thing that you can do is just talk about it. Bring this up to, anyone listening with you in the car tonight. Share Facebook posts or headlines that you see about drugs. Talk to your loved ones about the dangers of drugs every single chance you get, because you never know the impact that conversation will have. If you're a parent listening and you have students, create an environment where it's safe for your students to learn from their mistakes and not die from them.
Jade, are there any upcoming events or initiatives that the Taylor Watford Foundation has coming up to raise awareness about the issues facing our community with fentanyl poisoning?
So Red Ribbon Week is actually at the end of October. That's the nationwide week for celebrating being drug-free. We're going to be speaking at a couple different Lexington 2 schools, but we don't just do these events during Red Ribbon Week or during October. Year-round, we would love to come to any school, any church, any sports team, even just your neighborhood group of kids. We'll do a Zoom presentation, or we'll do a live presentation. We'll even, bring snacks, bring refreshments, just to get your community together and educate them. It's such a valuable tool we offer. It's free. We love doing it and getting to connect with you all. And another contest that we have going on that I think Lexington 2 or any South Carolina student would be interested in is we're having a Red Ribbon Week contest right now. It ends November 2nd. You can find out information on our website, but we're basically giving away $400 to South Carolina students and teachers who submitted some kind of response to this year's Red Ribbon Week theme, which is drugs are never worth the chance.
Oh, that's incredible. And as we close things out again, our halftime guest has been Jade Watford with the Taylor Watford Foundation. Jade, as we close out the show tonight, how can our listeners find out more about the Taylor Watford Foundation and how they can get involved?
Yeah, if you're listening tonight and you think you need help, or you want to help us out, or you just want to learn more, we have Instagram, Facebook, and a website that are all under Taylor Watford Foundation. We also have an email, taylorwatfordfoundation@gmail.com. I'd love to chat with you and find out how we can serve you.
Well, Jade, thanks so much for your time tonight. I am so proud of you to see what you're doing with your life right now, and it does not surprise me in the least. You were a shining example when you were at Brooklyn Casey High School. Watched you cheer on the sidelines and lead our students, and you just did a great job there, and you did a wonderful job tonight. And thanks for shining a light on all this tonight. We certainly appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.